All right, folks, welcome back. I'm Aaron Heiser of Maker's Leather Supply. This is part 5 of our bag making series, making an overnight bag. We finally are going to start putting some pieces together. We've done a lot of prep work. This video, we are going to concentrate on placing pieces on the top gusset. This is the bottom gusset. The top gusset is the long piece that kind of flares out on both ends a little bit. All right. So we have a zipper and 4 D-ring hangers to place on this. And I'm going to show you how I do it. Okay. We're going to bring back out our cardboard patterns that we made in the very first video. And that will help us figure out where to put everything, to include that very important cup of coffee. All right, so here is my piece. Here is the pattern for my piece. So on this, you can see we have our zipper piece goes right down the middle, and then we have our 4 D-ring hangers that will hang on the ends. All right, now this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my oblong punch that I used on my D-ring hangers, and I'm going to punch out where those are on this pattern. All right, so I'll punch out 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then I'm going to take my hole punch that I used to punch my zipper ends in a couple of videos ago, and I'm going to punch those out as well, marking just where not the whole zipper piece, but where the center part of the zipper piece is, where the actual zipper is, not the leather. Okay, and I'm just going to do that on the pattern. I'm not punching these out of the leather. I'm punching them out of the pattern for now. All right, so let me grab the correct hole punch over here. This one looks big enough. I need a heavy maul. All right, so I'm going to use my oblong punch, and I'm going to carefully punch out these pieces. Now, I'll put that away. I'm terrible about not putting tools back in the thing, and then the blades can get damaged and it gets expensive. All right, now I'm going to use my hole punch and punch out the center of that zipper area there. So, why did you do all that, Aaron? Because now I can put it right here on top of my pattern, or my leather, I'm sorry. I can take my Sharpie marker and I can mark all of that, okay? I don't want to punch through it because like on the D-ring hangers, nothing's going to punch through the bag, all right? So I don't want to punch that. I just want to mark it. And then when I set my D-ring hanger up there, I'll see that, okay, the little slot there goes over that area. And then I can stick it down and sew it together. And all of this will be underneath stuff such as the D-ring hanger or the big zipper piece. No one's going to see your mark, ever. So why not mark it and make it easy for you? So here we are. It's hard to see because my leather is very printed, but it's all there. Now, the circles I will punch. All right, I'm going to move up 1 punch size because that one was kind of small for what I'm doing. My bloodhound's at the door. Let me pause the video and see why. All right. So, again, we marked the holes where the D-ring hangers are going to be. We're not going to punch those on the leather, but we did mark the holes at the ends of the zipper, and we are going to punch those because we have to cut that section out. So, we have to cut that section out just like we did the the zipper strip here. Okay, so we're going to put our ruler over it, and we're going to run our straight edge down it and cut those pieces. Let me find a long enough straight edge. I got this big one here, but I'll have to clear out some room on the sides to get it to fit. 60-inch straight edges are awesome until you only have 40 inches of space. All right, so I'm going to use my rotary cutter, and I'm going to just ride right down this ruler here. Not as worried about accidentally overcutting this area like we talked about with the other pieces, because the zipper strip is going to be sewn over this, so it'd be all right. I hate it when my ruler moves. All right, so there's one side. And the other side. Got a little crazy with my cutting there, but it'll be okay. Again, this is all sewn under the zipper strip, and there's plenty of room there. So, this is now a scrap. You can save scrap like this because we'll use it to make the bleed knots on the zippers later on. Long straight scraps are great. So now I can take my my D-ring hangers, and I can put them over the spaces that I marked with my marker. Okay, and it's also a good practice to just go ahead and lay your zipper strip on here just to make sure there's going to be room for it. All right, space is limited. If you look at your pattern, there's only about 1/8 of an inch in between the zipper strip and the D-ring hangers. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and place these D-ring hangers, make sure everything looks nice and straight and good. And then one thing you can do to make sure that the D-ring hangers are perfectly aligned is take a straight edge and just lay it across them. All right, and then just make sure that the tops of them are equal with each other, and you'll be fine. I don't know if y'all can hear this on the video, but Lucy's over there snoring away now. So, all right, so I'm going to just take some double-sided tape here, and I'm going to tape down my D-ring hangers. Now, when I do that, I don't want to tape anywhere in the center area of these. Put it down anywhere in the center area because we're actually going to stuff leather down in there later for the D-rings. So I'm just going to tape down 2 sides right on the edges. You can use contact cement if you like. I like tape because it's way faster. All right, there's 1. Two. Also, when you're doing this, the hole on the D-ring fastener, the slot, is facing towards the main body of your piece. All right. I know it's hard to see on the camera from where I'm at, so that's why I thought I would mention that right quick. Put my ruler up here so I can make sure these are perfectly aligned. And stick her down. All right, I'm going to pause the video and do the other two on the other side, and then when I come back, we'll talk about putting the zipper strip together. All right, all four of those are temporarily held on with some tape, and now it is time to put my zipper together. So what I'm going to do is take my double-sided tape, pull off a nice long strip about the length of the inside cut on that strip. Usually I can guess pretty good. Now I want to make sure that the tape doesn't accidentally overhang and that you won't be able to see it, once the zipper's on. The tape is kind of shiny and it's quite unsightly if you can see it anywhere on your finished project. All right, so there's the tape on one side. And there it is on the other side. I've got a little bit left over here. I'm going to take it and just put it up here on the very ends. Don't really need to, but since I have some left over, why not? All right, pull this piece out of the way. Get my zipper ready. I'm going to put the two zipper pulls pretty much right in the middle. Again, they create a little bit of a bubble in the tape. So while I'm taping this thing down, I may move them around a little bit to eliminate the bubble wherever it may be. The same thing when I sew the zipper on. I'll sew up one end, and when I get to the zipper pulls, I'll pull them down to the end that's already sewn. And that'll help to, again, alleviate the bubble so that when the zipper's open, you won't see that bubble that was there. Just pulling all the backs off all this tape. All right, so I'm put my zipper pulls where they're pointed completely out so that they don't get in the way of my tape job here. I've pulled my zipper as absolutely straight as I can. I'm going to start at one end and put the leather piece right there where that zipper stop is. I'm just going to gently lay it down all the way to the other end and hope it's kind of straight. Not too bad. I'll have a little bit of work to do. The side closest to the camera is nice and straight. The other side's not so much, but I can lift it and adjust it just a little bit as it goes. That'll help. All right, I'm ready to start sewing. So, I am going to, you know what, I'm going to do a little bit more prep work over here, and that way we'll move the camera once over to the sewing machine and we'll sew a few things together. So, that's nice and stuck. The tape is holding the zipper on there very well. The zipper's nice and straight. Everything's looking really good. So I'm going to take this piece and set it over here to the side. Now, handles. We've got our handles, and they are supposed to be 42 inches, I do believe. Let me make sure that I don't remember when we cut them, if we cut them exactly like they need to be or not. 42. All right. All 4 ends of the handles need to be skived down because they're going to be inside the bag seam. And then also all 4 corners of the handles need to be burnished. And I haven't done that yet. So I'm going to grab me an edger right quick and I'll go over just a little bit of burnishing with you, and then we'll pause the video while I finish all that burnishing. Here we go. This is a Ron's Montana Edger number 3. Perfect size for these 6 to 7 ounce handles. Keep in mind, I said Montana Edger, not round edger. The round edger number 3 is much larger, and it would be too big for this. If your edgers don't work this well and this easily, you may want to consider sharpening them, or perhaps investing in some other ones. 90% of the time, if you just sharpen and strop them, they're still going to work pretty well. But I just love my Ron's edgers. All right. If you're noticing how I did that, I do all the sides one way and then flip them over, and then that way I only have to do the big flip once. So now I can do the other sides of these 2 straps, if that makes any sense at all to you. I really hope y'all can hear Lucy snoring over there. That's just hilarious. She's snoring so loud while I got a video going. 4 more weeks of her having to come to work with me until her leg heals. All right, all these are edged. I'm gonna go take all my trash to the trash can and grab a dauber so that we can do some burnishing solution on these. And so I'll be right back. All right, grab me a dauber, get me a little bit of the indelible burnishing solution, and I'm gonna grab me a rag. All right, so first thing I'll do is burn my dauber down. If you've ever seen me do this on videos, it really, really helps. This is just a regular old dauber. I'm going to take a regular old cigarette lighter, and I'm going to burn it slowly but surely. And about the time you start to see it almost look like it's bubbling, it's probably done. What we're doing is we're getting rid of all the excess fuzzies and hairs, and we're making it smaller, and it'll be a lot easier to apply this burnishing solution to the edge of my leather. Now, it looks like a roasted marshmallow. It's got lots of dark and black spots on it and stuff. All you got to do is take your finger and just knock that stuff off, that charring. It does smell. If you're in a small area, you may want to go outside to do that. It does smell like burnt carpet because it practically is. So, burnishing solution. This stuff's amazing. I've learned a lot more about it since I made the little video on how to use it. And I don't use canvas anymore. I now burnish everything with my finger. It really blows people away at Sheridan when I show it off like that. But anyway, so I take it and I just put it along the edge of my leather here. If you are using a veg tan or something like that, you may want to seal your leather first, because this stuff will make marks on it if it gets all over it or if you accidentally drip on it. This is an English bridle. I don't have to worry about it because the top of it's already finished, and all I'll have to do is wipe off any mistakes that I make. So I'm just going along and putting this stuff on here, pretty nice heavy coat of it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait just a little bit after I've put it all on there. I'm going to wipe off the excess with my little rag there, and then I'm just going to rub my fingers on it, and it's going to burnish nicely. This stuff does not work using friction. It works using, well, basically it's just gluing the leather fibers down, I guess you could say. Friction is actually not your friend with this product. Like if you use a burnishing stick or a canvas or something, you don't want to rub hard because you aren't trying to create heat and friction like every other burnishing material out there. All right. So I got a good bit of it on that one side of that strap. I'm gonna wait just a couple of seconds because down here it's barely been on there long. On the other end though, it's pretty much good to go. I'll pull this off the end of the table so I can get the length of it here. I'm just gonna take my rag and wipe it down, and then I'm seriously just gonna pull it through my fingers like this, and it's gonna do a real good job of burnishing that edge down. Okay. Now, this is a single ply strap. If this was, a couple of layers sewn together, there'd be more work to this. But it's just a single ply strap, so this burnishing solution goes really well and does its job. So there it is. That one's burnished. Now I just got to do the other side and then the other strap. So I'm going to pause the video and do all that, and when I come back, the strap will be burnished. All right, that pause was a lot longer than I wanted it to be. I ended up on the phone talking to a good friend. So I burnished all my straps, and then I grabbed one of my little tags with my logo on it. It's lasered on there, and I'm going to place it on my pocket piece. All right, so I'm going to find my center of my pocket piece using this ruler. So I got to put some tape on it and stick it down, and then we're ready to head over to the sewing machine for a few things. I'm going to go over there and sorry, I'm distracted. All right, so the first thing I need to do is I'm going to go over there and I'm going to fold the top of my pocket over, and I'm just going to sew across it. All right, so right across that line, that way the top of that pocket has a nice rolled edge to it. That's why we did all that skiving on it. And then I'm going to go ahead and sew my patch here on this. And then when I come back, we'll start sticking everything together so that when we go back to the sewing machine, we've got a lot of stuff to sew at once, and we don't have to keep going back and forth and back and forth. So I'm just going to pause the camera. I'll go over there and sew what I need to sew. And after we put everything together, when we go back over there, I'll take the camera with me so that you can watch me sew some of these items, and hopefully that'll help some folks that are new with. I am using a sewing machine, so hopefully it'll help some folks that are new with machines, or maybe somebody that doesn't have a machine that kind of wants to see how that works. We can do it. So, all right. Tape the top of my pocket down so that I can sew that. That patch is there so I can sew it. When I come back, there will be a sewing line here and a sewing line around the patch. All right, folks. I'm getting to the point that I'm going to have to open the store soon, and it's Saturday, so we could be really busy. We may not, so I need to hurry this along. All right, so I'm going to get my paper pattern back out, okay? And a couple of things I need to do are mark some of these areas on my pieces of leather. Now, I've got my bag sides here. Now, there's a large pocket going to cover a significant amount of area on this bag side, okay? And I purposefully, I'm choosing this bag side for the pocket side because there's a light spot right there. I can barely see it on the camera, but it's there. All right. And the pocket is going to help cover that up and mask that just a little bit, actually completely. So that's where I'm going to put my pocket. So be cognizant that, if you have a spot like that, then, make that the side that you're going to cover up. All right. So I am going to use my pattern and my Sharpie marker. I'm going to put my pattern over my leather. And what I'm going to do is just put little bitty marks at the bottom of my leather where the handles are drawn on. Okay? So there they are. And then I'm going to move my pattern down some. And I'm going to make the same marks where the top of the handles go. Now, one more thing I need to do on this that I should have included in the pattern, and I apologize for not doing it. I need a center line. When you build these bags, they're all built from the center. That way you make sure they're not crooked. So I'm going to go ahead and measure off and create a center line on my pattern so that I can put that center line on every bag I make. Okay, so just left to right on this bag side, I need a line right down the center of it. Or right at the center. It doesn't have to go all the way down it by any means. Okay? Now, I will also go ahead and mark those, but I will mark them on the inside of the leather. Okay, and you will see why when we go to put it together. Those lines are going to save you a lot of hassle. Okay, in the pattern making world, I believe those are called registration marks. So yeah, my phone's going nuts. All right, so we'll turn this back over. And here's what I need to do. This pocket is going to fit. It will sew in underneath the handles. All right, so I've got my marks where my handles go. The pocket is going to go right in between the marks of the handles. Okay, here's my marks of my handles. Here's the edge of my pocket. It's right in the middle of them. All right, I'm going to get a piece of tape and I'm going to tape it down. I will use 3 pieces of tape on this, one across the bottom and one up each side, just to hold everything in place until I start to get her sewn in. This tape is my best friend when I'm doing all this. Stick the excess under there like I always do. All right, so going to pull the backs off the tape here. And the way to make sure that your pocket is straight when you're putting it on is you want the bottom of the pocket, which should be a straight line, aligned with the bottom of the bag side, which should also be a very straight line. Again, the bottom corners are going to be right in between your marks where your handles are. With this printed leather, it's really hard to see where my daggum handle marks are, but I got them. All right, so that sucker's taped down. Now, we're going to do the exact same thing with the actual handles. All right, now keep in mind, one handle on one side of the bag, one handle on the other side of the bag. Okay, I'm going to put tape on, I don't know, 9 inches or so of this handle. I don't want to put tape all the way up because it won't be sewn all the way up. And then you've got a problem with tape showing. And we already talked about how ugly that can be. So, I'm going to put me some tape on the end of the handle. I'll line the handle up with the very bottom of the bag side there. And I'll put it right in between those 2 lines. And when I do that, that will also ensure that it covers up the edges of that pocket. And that's how you hide the edges of the pocket. All right, so I've got my two handle lines at the bottom, the left and right limits, and then up at the top, I've got my left and right limits. And I just need to lay this handle straight across all that. And press it down. There it is. There's one handle, or one side of that handle. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. All right, so I'll take it, put it at my left and right limit at the bottom, put it at left and right limit at the top, press it down. There's my handle. Ain't it pretty? All right, now, one more thing I'm going to do to this before I put this side away and do the other side. I'm going to take my ruler. I'm going to start at the very, very bottom of this, okay, and I'm going to measure up, let's say 10 inches from the bottom, okay? And I'm going to take my, my handy-dandy scratch awl, and I'm just going to put a couple of little indentions in the leather where my stitch line will end up being as I go down both sides of that handle. And what I'm doing is I'm making sure that my stitch line goes up to the exact same point on both sides of the handle so it doesn't look goofy when, you know, one's higher than the other, okay? So I'll move it over here. I'm going to do that exact same 10 inches. And I'm going to make 2 marks. All right. Now, that side is complete. I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side, except the other side of this bag won't have a pocket. You can put a pocket on the other side if you like, but I only planned 1 pocket for this bag. I've got 3 or 4 of these bags laying around as I practice them. Some of them have 2 pockets. Some of them have 1 pocket. Whatever. 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other. So I'm going to pause the camera so you don't have to watch me do it again. I'll make all my marks. I'll put my handles in. I'll stick them with tape. And then I will measure my sew lines again at 10 inches. And when I unpause the video this time, we will, actually, you know what? Let me switch gears here right quick. Let's go ahead and stick my, no, never mind, I'm sorry. I have to sew this zipper down before I can, I have to sew the zipper to the strip before I can sew the strip to the gusset. So, we won't do that yet. Yeah, so when I unpause the video, that's where we'll be, is we'll have the handles stuck on. All right, there is one more thing I can prep before going to the sewing machine. This is the bottom part of my gusset. All right, and on the pattern for it, you see where the 4 support squares go. Okay, these 4 support squares not only kind of, you know, give it a looks like a foot at the bottom that it can set on, but they also help hold the rigidity of the bag. And then when you pick the bag up, if it's made out of thinner leather, it makes it to where the bottom of it doesn't just sag and look all sloppy. Nobody likes sloppy. All right, but we have to transfer these squares onto this piece of leather so that we can have them in the right spot. A couple of different ways to do that, but I'll show you how I do it. I'm going to take a hole punch that is kind of small, just big enough for my Sharpie marker, I guess. And I'm just going to punch in the corners of my pattern. Do it far enough to the inside of the corners so when you make these marks on your leather, your rectangle piece will cover them and won't leave little Sharpie marks on your finished piece. Again, this is all about making a nice template that'll work over and over out of a paper pattern. All right. So we're going to put that over our paper pattern, or over our leather. And I'm going to use my Sharpie marker. And I'm just going to draw all those in. Okay. Once I stick these on, I will have lots of stuff that I can sew together when I go over to the sewing machine. I don't like walking back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, having to, do little bitty stuff at a time when I could walk over there once, get a bunch of stuff sewn, and then come back and get ready for the next step. So I'll put some tape on the bottoms of these things. All right. So now I'll start sticking these in position down here. I'll find my 4 dots. Again, on this printed leather, it's a little bit difficult to find them. But there they are. And we're stuck. Again, you can lay your ruler across these and make sure that they're all nice and even as far as, one's not a couple of millimeters higher than the others or something like that. Well, I can't stress enough that it's awesome to have clear rulers or rulers you can see through with lots of lines on them, because you can line stuff like this up. Beautiful. Looking for my spots. There's 3 of 4. One more again. Got that one a little crooked. I'm going to reposition it. All right, got them all stuck. Now, I'm going to go to the sewing machine. I'm going to sew the zipper to the strip. I'm going to sew the bottoms onto the bottom gusset. I'm going to sew up both sides of these handles. And I am going to sew my D-ring hangers to this piece. All right, lots of sewing. But we're getting somewhere. If we get all that done, then, hey, we're going to be ready to do final assembly on this bag, which does not take long at all. Prep work is what takes forever. So I'm gonna go ahead and pause it right here. Actually, I'm going to have to stop it right here. Now I'll try to squeeze in a few more minutes. I know that folks are coming over here in a few minutes. I'm gonna try to squeeze in a few more minutes over at the sewing machine. All right, we are set up at the sewing machine, and this is a Cobra Class 18 sewing machine. It is a great, great, great machine. All the flat work on this bag like this are perfect for it. However, I do like a cylinder arm machine when I start building the actual body of the bag. Let me see if I can get us. All right. So, I'm just going to sew a little bit of everything here because I want to do, show you how I do each of these. And then, it'll be up to up to y'all to complete all this before the next video starts. So we're going to start with a D-ring hanger. There we go. Whoop. My buddy walked in and Lucy's like, wait a minute. All right. I did turn my light off so that it's easier for you to see, but that doesn't do much for me. So we're going to start stitching and just go all the way around it. This machine does have a servo motor on it, so it allows it to go slow. And slow is good. Anytime when you're using a sewing machine, when you get to a corner or a turn, try to turn it while the needle is down. You want the needle to go all the way down, come back up just a tiny bit, and that's when you make your turn. I know my hands are in the way here, but there's not. This one's pretty self-explanatory. I'll do the zipper next because it's not as self-explanatory, I guess you could say. All right, now I'm just going to go back over my first couple of stitches as opposed to having to back stitch, of course. And it's hard to see without that light. All right. So when the D-ring hanger is sewn on, this is what it looks like. There it is. All right, so I've got 3 more of those to sew on later. But let me go ahead and throw this zipper under here right fast. All right, so when I'm sewing the zipper, I'm going to turn the light on, see if this will help anything. Nope, not at all. Okay, when I'm sewing the zipper, bring the camera over for a minute. Got to do this without yanking my daggum laptop off. I want my center foot where my needle goes through up here against the edge of the zipper opening, okay? And then the presser foot's out here on the meaty part of the piece of leather, all right? I do it that way because then I can get that sew line right up onto that zipper and get that going. Now, one thing I forgot to do, a very important thing when you're sewing with a sewing machine, I'm about to do a long stretch of sewing, so I better check my bobbin and make sure I got plenty of thread on there. And I do. It was very recently changed, apparently. All right. So, put my zipper under there. And this will go quite a bit. I'll have the machine set a little bit faster because it is just a big straight line. And yeah, and I sew with the inside of that center foot just right up against the line almost. When using a sewing machine, the machine's going to pull the material. You don't have to do anything. You just keep your hand there so that it goes straight. All right. Now, earlier I talked about when I was sewing and I get to a zipper, the sliders. I will. Let me do this with the needle down because I don't want my project to move. I will go ahead and slide them to a different area while I sew around where they were, and that'll alleviate any bubbles in the tape part of it. Almost to the end, and then we're going to turn around and go back. So as we turn, we'll do all of our turns while the needle is down, and that will help to ensure that we keep a consistent line of stitching. I'm going to raise the presser foot just a little bit here so that I can go across this chain. And then when I go across the zipper chain, I use my hand wheel. Lucy. I use my hand wheel so that I can go slow and I can make sure the zipper finds its way in between the, there it goes. Broke my thread. It happens a lot when I'm going through a zipper. But anyway, so I'll pull this off and rethread the machine. And we're going to have to be done for the day because Lucy wants to make noise now that folks are here. Again, I already told you what all I'm going to sew. Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun to do. But I will do it on camera on the next video. I might be able to get to it this afternoon. So again, thanks for watching. This is part 5 of our bag making series. And Aaron Heiser of Maker's Leather Supply. Thanks so much.